Sonic Lab TV.
Hello, welcome to another Sonic Lab. Today we're looking at the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, a basic audio interface. Obviously with the Focusrite stuff, it's got a long pedigree of kind of creating high-end, almost esoteric sort of studio rack gear, going back to their beautiful Red series, which is kind of where the Scarlett comes in. Because it is red, it's got this kind of anodized red finish, which does make it look rather handsome. It's quite a basic unit though. We've just got two combi inputs here, switchable between mic, line and instrument. We've got gain controls for each of them. These have got a little sort of LED colour, so it gives you kind of some sort of sense of metering. They go red from green through amber to red. Then we've also got global 48 volt phantom power switching, a direct monitoring button, global overall volume and a headphone level, which is here. Around the back we've got just a stereo pair of outputs right here, no mains, and it's bus powered. So according to the box, it's got two high quality award-winning Focusrite mic pre's, 24-bit 96K compatible, which means it's not class compliant, so you will need to download drivers for it to work on your machine. In fact, the compatibility is Windows 7, 64 and 32-bit, Windows XP Service Pack 3, 32-bit only, and on the Mac 10.6.5 and above. It's 10.7 ready. So it also comes with a suite of plugins. There's what looks like dynamics, EQ and a gate, plus a little reverb plugin. We'll have a look at those as well while we're at it. So anyway, let's get it plugged into the machine. So I've plugged it all up into my laptop here. This is my dual 2.3, a couple of years old MacBook. It's running 10.6.8. If I go to the screen, you can see that I've got it here selected as the audio device in Ableton Live. I've got the Scarlett 2i2, 2 in, 2 out. I can set the sample rates 41 up to 96K. Just close that off. Maybe we'll just play a bit of my clip. It's just a little bit of a track that I put together. A little bit of a track that I just put together just to sort of test the latency. I've also got M-Audio Axiom MIDI keyboard plugged in here so we can have a listen to the latency. But first, let's plug in the ribbon mic, which I like to use just to sort of test the quality of the mic amps, because I really do sort of know that that sound is what I want to hear. That's the SE Electronics Voodoo VR1 ribbon mic. So I've switched to the ribbon mic here. To my ears, obviously I've listened to this after I've recorded this, if this makes sense. It sounds quite smooth and open. I'm liking the sound of it. The top end feels kind of crisp and has a silky quality to it, which I haven't heard on some of the other mic preamps that I've reviewed recently. So I'm quite impressed actually by the sound of this. If I now switch to the main unit, you'll be able to see that there's some metering going on with around the knob, and if I come in close and start hitting it harder, you see orange and red starting to come in there. So overall, I'm liking what I hear on this mic preamp. It seems to do the SE Electronics ribbon mic justice, and it does, I think, stand up to the kind of the claims of award-winning Focusrite mic preamps. There is definitely a perceptible increase or shift in sound quality as far as I can tell. So now I'm monitoring straight through the door in record ready mode, and I'm messing about with the sample rate and the latency. So if we go here to the screen, we can see that I'm currently working at 96K and my latency is about 94 samples. If I try and drop this down a bit, let's just see what happens. 1, 2, 2. God, that's amazing. That is really impressive. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting some cracks and popples, because 96K at those sort of latency buffers, I would expect there to be, you know, a bit of Unfortunately, that's not the same when I start to play any other stuff. So I'll up that and see where it starts to get better. So I've put that back up to about 470 samples at 96K, and now playing and talking works okay. I mean, with any driver, you have to mess around and get the settings that you want. But I mean, it was possible, strangely, to hear almost no latency. So I've switched over here. I've got my Axiom going through. I'm listening to drum triggers. You can see I'm just on a through track, which is like a little CR78 kit. Feels pretty good actually. The latency is absolutely fine there, and so, you know, that what this proves to me is that the drivers have been well written, so there's efficient code in there, so we're getting good, tight audio handling with those, which is, again, another plus point. So we're back on the ribbon mic. I'm just going to listen to the plugins. I've got them set up here in Ableton Live. They come as VST or AUs. You just have to register online. There's a serial number that comes when you purchase the Scarlett. So you enter that, get a downloader file and load it in, and it just activates the plugins fine. So let's start off. We'll go... We've got a reverb here. If I switch that on, 1, 2, 2. That's what's this? This looks like the garage. Let's try a cement stadium. Whoa. Quite a lot of mix. It sounds quite smooth to me. Sounds pretty smooth. Got nice quality, but certainly be handy for vocal and drums. Like I say, a few presets here. We've got a bit of filtering before it goes in. We've got a bit of air around the reverb and a dry wet mix. Next up, we've got the Scarlett EQ. I'll just switch this in, and I've rolled a bit of low end off my voice. I can do that to a high pass filter, maybe roll it up a little bit more, get a bit more bottom end out. There's a sort of a lump there that I've got. Add a bit of air to the overall sound. It's quite a nice sounding EQ, you know, does the job. I mean, this ribbon mic sounds lovely anyway, but adding this extra air to it, and this 4-band with the 2 switchable parametric mids, you know, decent EQ. And let's face it, Focusrite should know a decent amount about equalization because they make a lot of hardware units as well. Next up, we'll go for the compressor. Switch that on. Oh, we've got some fairly serious effect pressure. Let's try default there. Maybe knock that back a bit. Bring the threshold up, get a bit of gain reduction, nice bit of pump. We've also got some presets here. Max pumping. That's a real effects compression. So you can do some, I'll switch that off so you can understand what I'm saying. You can do some decent effects kind of compression as well. So that's nice to have. And we've also got the Scarlett gate here, which I've got set up. If I switch it out, you may be able to hear this. There's the fan of my laptop, which just, you know, kicks in a bit at the moment. It's quite hot in here. I don't think there's a particularly great deal of CPU going on because it's just a single channel, but I can set the range so I can just dip out the background. You see, I bring it down by bringing the range up, or I can have it really fierce. I can configure it in sort of different modes. So we've got this cross method. We've got single input feeding the second output. So mono and stereo and various different modes. So quite handy, useful. I don't think it's got a sidechain. So perfectly usable set of plugins there. I particularly like the compression and the reverb. So just very usable, and the EQ is quite musical too, so nice. I mean, it's free, what more can you ask? One thing I did find while I was using it, when I unplugged the Scarlett 2i2, I did find that it wasn't happy being hot swappable. I had to reboot my machine to get it to reinstantiate the driver, so that was a bit of a downside there. So overall, I'm actually pretty impressed with the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. I think the sound of the preamps really are something quite special. And considering the price of the unit, which is actually quite low, it's around about the £100 mark, it's not a bad deal. I mean, it does have some downsides. For me, the headphone amp wasn't quite loud enough for me if I'm listening to my own voice and I'm trying to hear it through a microphone. Just didn't have quite enough gain for my ears. Plus, obviously, it's got no MIDI I/O. It would have been nice to have that. Of course, if you want more functionality, you could always go for one of the other Scarlett ranges. We've got the 8-in 6-out USB interface, which also features 2 mic pre's. We've got the Scarlett A116, which features more metering, 2 Focusrite preamps, and additional MIDI should you need it. Of course, these are going to be more expensive, but there's something for kind of every budget here, really. But on the plus side, we're talking, you know, decent audio drivers, good quality mic preamps, and you know, they stand out, if you like, from the competition. And the price, I think that's a pretty good deal. If we look here, we can see ranging from 96 quid, 120, 107, that sort of thing. So other currencies will scroll below. So if you're looking for just a decent, working, high quality, high sample rate USB interface, I think the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 is definitely worth looking at. And particularly if you're using high quality microphones into it, you're going to get good quality into your recordings.